Hello everyone, this is Mr. Speak, and I'm doing a review for Bleach 466, the Screaming Invader. Georgia's Screaming Invader. Anyway, we see the Jackie versus Renji fight is over. She's not dead. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but anyway, she's telling him to kill him because Yukio, aka the guy with the full bring invaders, must die. His power won't let them loose until one of them perishes or Yukio himself perishes, which is Jackie sees as somewhat unlikely. And Renji won't finish her off because he's not the type to like fighting women, especially one who's already beaten. So he's not going to kill him. He's going to find another way. Now we cut to Yukio. Oh, it's some sort of weird room made by his powers. Apparently he is watching them just like Jackie had stated before. And, he plans on doing some more stuff, at least until Hitsugaya comes in and freezes the pathway. He freezes a little space. He freezes a hole in a little space and cracks it using his sword, and busts in the room. Yukio commends him on his ability to do that, and then he starts to. So I don't know if you could call this somewhat fighting, but he's just like trying to demonstrate his powers. He explains his powers for a bit, and then he summons like this weird giant monster. He doesn't turn into a giant monster like what's the name? The butler dude. I forget his name. But he summons a giant monster. Then he decides to summon more giant monsters, and we learn an interesting bit about Yukio here. Apparently, he's what you would call a self-made orphan. He had bankrupted his father's company, and then took all the money. He's like one of those people that's say a diamond can only be made in the rough, by saying his children can only be more clever if they don't have any parents. So yeah. In any case, he's a guy that tries prodding at it, but it only serves to irritate him, and he creates more monsters. One thing notable about these monsters, though, I don't know if you could say they look like Hollow. Hollow, sure, they come in all shapes and sizes. At the same time, they don't seem to have the hollow holes. They just seem to be like random creations. It could be like parts of Hollow or something, though that would make sense if they were Hollows, considering where his powers come from. Anyway, he's acting really cocky, and yeah, he's a guy surprised him on the end, but he's getting frozen. I think his full bring. I don't know what's going on. I think his full bring is has gotten frozen and he can't use it anymore. Now like the monsters are coming after him. Either that or they're going to dissipate or something like that. But anyway, chapter ends. He's scared as crap, and apparently something happens. We don't really get to see what. But in any case, I think that wraps up 2 fights of the Fullbringers so far. Yeah. I don't know about the Renji Jackie fight. It was kind of anticlimactic in my opinion. I mean, we all knew that again, I only rate the Fullbringers to be, a lieutenant level and not like a fully realized lieutenant. You'll hear me say it in like 2 or 3 other of my Bleach vids, but, yeah, they're only on that level. In comparison to actually a captain, even your average captain, they don't stand up well. And, these guys have apparently been doing some training, for whatever reason. Renji said, they've been training to fight Aizen, whether Aizen's got out or whether they, just expecting he may get out or something along those lines is yet to be seen. But, yeah, training definitely seems to have paid off. I could definitely have seen, the older Renji who's, just Bankai prone and, headstrong to seriously have some trouble with Jackie initially. I would have no doubt in my mind that he could beat Jackie, but at the same time, yeah, I could definitely see the older Renji having some trouble. Whereas, this new Renji that's come after the time skip is definitely not somebody to be trifled with. Um, I guess I kind of expected that much. The Fullbringers were kind of new to their new abilities. Again, it's really, and as far as their stance on Yukio, we know full on he's, giving into this side of him. Whether that's his honest to goodness side, whether Tsukishima has manipulated him, it's at this point it's apparent that he's not on their side. He's not on their side. if for one reason or another. However, Jackie is kind of ambiguous. I don't know. It's some of her dialogue makes it seem like she was strong-armed into this, rather than choosing it for herself. As we know, Ruruka was strong-armed into this, but she's not putting really much of a fight. She's just like playing around, playing around. She definitely didn't want any part of this, but she was given it anyway. So, maybe that is really was Jackie's true personality. She was all cocky. That was just her. But as we know, when you're dealing with opponents like these, experienced opponents, it's not going to end well. As we've seen from the various other fights, they don't really stand a chance. Yeah, so not very much happened well, I guess you could say a lot development-wise happened in that, one fight's done, one fight is seemingly over, Yukio versus Hitsugaya. Um, kind of interest. Really, I'm not really interested in these two fights. I'm kind of glad that they're done with. I'm more interested in next week when we get back to possibly Ginjao versus Ichigo, or Tsukushima versus Byakuya, or even Ikaku versus Shishiguara. Any of those fights is somewhat more interesting, even though Shishiguara, we've seen it. It's clear at this point that he doesn't really stand a chance against Ikaku. Apparently, even with a good roll using his full brain, he wasn't strong enough to do that much damage. Tsukushima, he's a bit more more well versed combatant than the rest, but at the same time, he doesn't stand a chance up against Byakuya. Ichigo versus Ginjao should be very interesting, considering that Ichigo has just reclaimed some form of his powers. We don't know how far we've gotten yet. He definitely doesn't appear to be the same level that he was, back when he fought Aizen. So I don't know whether or not that you would consider that a good thing, because yeah, Aizen was pretty damn strong back then. The only thing I think could actually even touch Ichigo would be Yamamoto's Bankai. If the Zero Squad, if they ever decided to do it, maybe an Aizen return. However, I don't want Aizen to return, and I don't see the point in Yamamoto fighting Ichigo with his Bankai if he, for whatever reason, did. So, yeah, I think it's pretty good that he hasn't gotten that kind of level of power yet. He's definitely more well-versed combatant, which is something to say. That was the main problem with Ichigo's former fights, is that A, he didn't want to kill. After he got over that, he, kind of held back because he was afraid of his hollow. And after that, it was just because he wasn't as experienced of a combatant as the rest. And, even when he was facing weaker opponents, he would get able to easily get the edge on him and almost kill him just because he wasn't that experienced. So, yeah, looking more forward to the other Fullbringer fights. Your mileage may vary on how they're going to end, specifically how good the other Fullbringer is going to do. Ginjao is his former substitute Shinigami, so he should be a little more of a challenge, I guess. Tsukushima, we don't know too much about him, but he is, I don't know. It could have been that, Ginjo honestly didn't remember his skills as he was under the influence of Tsukishima's full bring. Maybe, maybe not. But if Tsukishima has like Ginjo on the same level, then that's obviously not going to be too long of a fight. I like it to last longer because that's the big fight of this whole arc. But at the same time, it's not going to be too interesting if they're on the same level. Byakuya looks like he's ready to wipe before with Tsukishima, and Ichigo's not not that far behind, the most recent version of him. So yeah, sure he hasn't fought on that level in a while, but it's one of those things you quickly work back into. So anyway, I'm going to cut off here. What did you think about this chapter? What did you think about this vid? Comment, rate, subscribe. Anyway, this has been Mr. Speak, signing off.